If prisoners could take their own mugshots, they'd be called selfies. What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about public dungeon fragments. It might seem like an innocuous thing to talk about, but for those of you who do not know, ever since the addition of Vvardenfell, you are able to get cool, unique fragments from dungeons that can create different things. These being the public dungeons that you see in the overworld, such as the Spire of the Crimson Coin, for example. So we're going to break down why you might want to farm these bad boys for gold, what gives what, how to price check, and how to utilize this information to your advantage. And as always, when any of these things come up, you guys know that my personal preference is to teach you guys once and then give you the information so you know how to utilize it in the future. So this is from the unofficial Elder Scrolls Online pages, linked in the description. We're going to go through it, but we're going to be going through it in a way that you guys can take this information, translate it, and either know one of a few things. One, how can I use this to my advantage to gain unique rewards that I want as a player? Because obviously you might watch this and think, hey, I want to have this thing. You might want, or B, you might want to be like, hey, I want to sell these things to make money. How do I do that? So we're going to be looking at it from those two major perspectives, and obviously all the resources and things that we're going to be utilizing to teach ourselves how to find those things is going to be in the description. Also, important note here too, ever since update 9.05, the drop rate has drastically increased for these. That was on update 23. So it's been a while, but there are some people who are pretty jaded against public dungeon fragments, so just know they've been increased. And what better one to start with than the very first one inside of Morrowind. Now, important to note too, Morrowind has 2 public dungeons, and each one of these has a different reward. This is not unique to Vvardenfell or Morrowind. You'll kind of see that theme go on as we go. So let's say, for example, you were like, wow, I really want the pet Jake that's over here. I think this pet right above my face, this looks great. I want this. What you would need to do is combine all of these fragments together. Well, you're probably wondering to yourself, Jake, how do I get these fragments? The answer is so ridiculously simple. It's a bit dumb how simple it is. You just need to kill stuff inside the public dungeon. Just kill things, and then it will drop from their bodies. It's just that simple. It's kind of like when you play Fallout and you kill a raider, and it's got a fan on him. Why is he holding a fan? Who knows? But he does, and that's the same thing, except even weirder here, because why are creatures inside of public dungeons, notably things like spiders, holding on to dwarven wheels? But don't worry about the semantics of this. Just worry about the profits. So let's say you wanted all of these together. What I would suggest to you is farm as many as you can, and if you get duplicates, list those on the market, and then you can then buy the other ones that you're missing. So that's a good segue. Let's look at the market for these items. And as you guys can see, there's a pretty decent market. So this is what happens when you combine all of them together. You get this rune box. And this is PC listings. I will link both the PC way to price check items as well as the Xbox NA version to price check. An important distinction, this shows the cheapest listings. It also is for PC. And if you're using the Xbox tool, it's pretty comparable to console, but things will always vary pretty heavily. So keep all of that in mind. But what that means is if you just combine those resources together, you got something that somebody's selling for 709,000 gold. That's a pretty good deal, in my opinion, if you can get all the pieces relatively quickly. And even some of the pieces here are relatively cheap. You know, some people are selling them for as cheap as 1,500, 750, and 2,000. Because a lot of times people either A, don't take the time to get all the pieces together, or B, they don't know what they have, so they're just like, they blurp it onto the market, and then boom, they just are selling the random things that they're getting on the market. It's kind of evident by the fact that these are not listed in really any popular traders. They're kind of listed all around in different areas. I mean, some of them are. Some of these are listed in the premier traders, but you can tell that there's definitely a sense of non-cohesion. That's because fragments are generally not highlighted when it comes to things that players are interested in purchasing. And this is actually a quick note here that I'm just going to insert, is that this same thing happens to Opal-style pages as well as previous year's event pages. People aren't searching for them because people forget about them. The number one time that you can resell a yesteryear's event page is usually right before it becomes available again, because people are looking for it. People are putting it back in their Brainle compartments, and they're thinking, man, I really want this item. And people will go out and purchase that item. And because it's not back on the market yet, people are going to purchase them. It's kind of the same with Fragments. People, most ESO players, have either forgotten about or did not know that these things existed, so them being highlighted by places like Filer Ool has kind of led to a resurgence in interest in these items. However, there's a bit of confusion about listing these items, how to get these items. That's what we're going to continue to kind of break down those barriers in this video. And the next item is also very similar, although I will tell you that this one is significantly more farmed because there's a very rare item in that zone, the 6th House banner, which unfortunately has had its drop rates increased. Unfortunately, I think making a video on it has potentially destroyed the value of the item and has noted that developers came through and fixed its drop rate. So sorry about that, everybody. The thing that used to be worth almost 1 billion gold is now worth a few million gold. So please don't kill me in the comments. It's still a good item. Moving along, we have this kitten, which, fun fact, a lot of these pets, some of these pets at least, are highlighted for certain companions. So when you pull them out, you actually get a bonus to your companion's happiness, which is great. Everyone wants their companions to be happy. Because of that, this is one of the more valuable pets to farm. Plus, who's going in Somerset and going in the public dungeon? Not really anybody. But how many people love their, I believe it's Miri, quite a few people love their little companions. So because of that, this is actually a decent one to check in on every so often. Another one that Filer Ool has indirectly been influencing is the next one, the Sigic Globe, the emote that you see right here. Ever since this thing has been highlighted by Filer Ool, it has seen a resurgence. Normally, it just drops from Sunhold as a pretty basic item. But now, if you just combine all of these pieces together, only 7 of them, you're getting an item that people are selling for 2.5 to 3 million gold. That's certainly not a bad gig if you can get a buyer on it. Now, what I would tell you, though, is that because a lot of people have been investing through Filer Ool, they potentially already have some of the components. So it might be better to individually list these versus trying to sell them all together. That would be my suggestion to you, but what I would say is it's a pretty cool emote, and for some reason, it keeps popping up almost every Tuesday. So this is a pretty decent one to keep on your radar. Next, we started to get even to some more unique fragments, and that is because they start to drop as individual fragments that just need to be combined multiple times. You might think, Jake, that's pretty insignificant, but it's actually not. So now, instead of getting 1 through 7 pieces, where if you need piece 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now you just need 10 pieces. So instead of getting the same third piece 10 times or the same 2 through 5 pieces and you constantly need number 3 or whatever, now you just need a total amount of them. That's pretty significant, and you can start to see it becomes reflective in the market because more people are kind of interested in getting this one versus other pieces, because if they just buy 10 of these, then bada bing, bada boom, they get exactly what they're looking for. Now, that can act as both a good thing and a bad thing. It makes it easy to resell because people are going to just be a little bit more open-minded towards buying something 10 times as opposed to thrift shopping for 7 individual fragments. But it can also sometimes devalue the item too, because if too many people are doing it, well, everyone's only searching for the same one item. Interestingly enough, we keep that same trend with the Plague-Drenched Fabric, which is about comparable in value to selling for the previous item that we just saw, and that is going to be from the public dungeon in Northern Elsewhere that you guys can see up there. And then we go to the Cartography outfit, which is from a public dungeon I cannot personally pronounce, but it actually gives you this outfit up here. This is another thing that has been massively highlighted by the Filer Ool vendor. I don't know why the Tuesday vendor loves this thing so much, but it absolutely adores it. And there's quite a few people who become interested in this set as a kind of gateway to it because they've seen it highlighted so much. So if you're interested right now, another suggestion I would have is invest potentially in this Western Skyrim outfit. Gives you kind of like a unique little explorer's outfit that I think a lot of people really enjoy looking at. And now the exciting portion of the video. You probably thought to yourself, Jake, everything up to this point has been fairly exciting. Or you thought to yourself, Jake, the intro pun at the beginning of this video wasn't very good. So Give me the good stuff. Where's it at? So here we are. And now we start to get to the juice, the meat and potatoes, because now we start to get really unique items. Up at the top, we are gaining access to a training dummy. What more could you ask for than a training dummy? You get 50 of those bad boys together, and you get a training dummy. Now, also, too, you can still get a costume. You can see that over here. Another dungeon, public dungeon, gives you access to a costume. But then you get access to a gate. That's pretty exciting. I don't know anyone who doesn't want access to a gate. I thought that was pretty cool. And then you have access to the Coral Hajimoto's lures and decoys, which give you access to 2 different pets. Now, originally, I was pretty harsh on these pets. And some of you commented on the video that you love these pets. And when I looked at how much value they had, I was shocked. Because you can see that people are individually selling them for $19,000 to $25,000. It's one of those things where it's like you can get these every couple minutes if you're lucky, and you can continue to farm throughout the public dungeon. Now, the unfortunate part of this video is every public dungeon is set up differently. So the most effective way to farm one public dungeon is not necessarily the other ones, but the general trend is just kill things quickly. Try not to utilize tanking companions that are going to pull things out of mobs, because obviously you're going to want everything to stay clumped together. Try to then, kill as many things with AoEs as possible as you can. Solo builds, speed builds, things that of that nature are going to help you being able to kind of quickly ambulate throughout these public dungeons is going to make this pretty good for you. But this is a great price point to getting in. And I had no idea until one of you guys called me a silly goose for trashing this pet. And if this one starts to lower in value, do not forget that we just looked at something. There's another public dungeon that's got basically the same thing with a slightly different version of this pet. So if this one starts to drop in value, you just start selling the other one. And it's important to note too, these are actually linked together. So you actually have to combine these 2 together to actually get the pet at the end. And you see that with Necrom as well. But unfortunately, what you'll see on the market usually is that people are just farming one of the pieces of that fragment. And then because it's from a public dungeon, that's a little bit easier, or they just happen to be farming it. And then overall, on this other hand, one of the other ones is not selling for it nearly as much. So just keep that in mind as you're looking through things, because this last one from the new Necrom chapter is basically a squirrel. I don't know if any of that interests you, but just keep that in mind. You can see, though, that they've started to ramp up the amount of things that you need. And in general, the theme that I've noticed is the more recent the DLC, kind of the more allure there is with riches towards farming that specific fragment. In that, if you farm the fragments from the newer zones, the newer chapters, you're probably going to make more money, is the easy way to describe it. But everyone, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because public dungeons have always been these nonchalant little areas that people usually go to farm weapons and gear and things. An important thing to remember is those things have value too. So if you're farming a specific zone, definitely think to yourself, are the sets here any good? And if they are, you could start to sell those bad boys too, because you're going to be picking them up as you go and you do this public dungeon. And you'll be getting those fragments, and you'll be getting those juicy rewards, which is what I hope that you guys get here. Get yourself a nice little chunk change and keep stimulating that ESO market. Let me know what you guys thought. We are still doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is just be subscribed, or if you are subscribed, just stay subscribed, make a new account. I don't know, no preference. If you would like, obviously, to leave a comment in the comments below. It's your second entry, and the month of April is winding down here. So if you see the Amazon gift card code flashed upon the screen soon, you just redeem that bad boy, and you get yourself that 3rd drawing. So thank you guys so much again, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.